Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much. Wow, a lot of people. Thank you again. Thank you very much. It's a great honor again. As I said before, I always take great privilege in you allowing me to be your leader and continue moving our government forward. But of course, Elder Fleury, I want to thank you for your prayer in Michif. As a Saulteaux speaker myself, I understood some of the words, some of them in Cree, some a little bit in Saulteaux, and some in French. And it's great to know our language is still alive in this beautiful province we call Manitoba. But you heard again earlier from Mark as he introduced the people to my left. One of the things a leader needs, and especially the leaders that are here today, they all know how important it is if you have a cabinet, that the cabinet must be behind you. Because as a leader, you must look forward and understand that somebody's always watching your back and somebody's taking care of things behind you. And that's what this cabinet does for me. They're my wisdom in the sense of check and balance, but at the same time, they're there to always protect my back and make sure as the leader that I'm taking our nation forward. So I want to thank you as a leader, as your leader, for always watching my back. So thank you very much. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all the dignitaries for their kind words to myself and to our government. I think it's so fitting to see so many parties that are here from different governments. Jim, I really appreciate you being here, and I'm sorry, Minister Carr, and I know Ms. Jim, and Elaine, it's good to see her here as the minister, and she's absolutely right. We've only met a few times. We need to get to understand each other a lot more, and she's very clear to me that door is going to be wide open for the Metis and as we move forward. But I'm also pleased to see Danny and Lajmadir here, both Metis, one for the Conservatives, one for the Liberals, but they're both here, both Metis leaders, and have now sit in different governments. And I think for one, they'll be the ones that will be sending the message loud and clear that the Metis is a government. It's no lesser than theirs, so to be respected in that fashion. But some of the things I think I want to speak on today is, in fact, I told my wife this morning that damn Obama stole one of my lines. I was up 5 o'clock this morning thinking about the things I really want to say and the message I want to give. And yesterday we had a great meeting with our young people and our elders and seniors that were here. And we expected only a few hundred. 700 showed up yesterday. And as you see, there's no place to sit. There's only stand-up room here today. And it goes against the show the vibrancy of our nation and the sense of our government, that our people are active and our people want to be included and be involved. And especially our young people, I sent a message loud and clear that everything we do, everything we have done is always about the next generation or the young people coming behind us, because we want their future to be completely different in the sense of maybe getting that head start that was promised 146 years ago, that their life will change. And there's not a doubt in my mind in the sense of everything we've been able to accomplish, all the victories we've won, their life will change. And I can't say enough that I think we have the perfect combination that's in place right now. We have a Prime Minister that cares, we have a Prime Minister that respects the Métis Nation, and we have a Prime Minister that's promised he's going to finish off what nobody else can have done in the past. So that, I take his word and I respect his direction and his decision. And let me say to you right now, I wish he would have been here so I can tell him on your behalf, and I'll have a meeting with him, on your behalf, he made a promise to us on a video here that you'll see later. And I want you to listen to that words in his video. And you'll have a video coming from Carol Bennett, who cannot be here. So they send the next best, Jim Carr, here to represent them. So, but it's clear, the message is loud and clear. The Prime Minister said something, and something's going to happen this afternoon because of that. And he made a promise, and you can see that his promise is coming real. But the message I want to give to our young people is this. There are many that told us that I'm wasting time and I'm wasting money. There's many that told my cabinet and lobbied my cabinet to change my direction as the president, that we should no longer waste money on this land claim, that we should spend it in education, housing, whatever funds we fundraise. And understand this money wasn't given to us, the government, to pay our lawyers. We have two of the greatest minds sitting here today in the legal community when it comes to matters of this nature. And we're going to be honoring him here today. And this is going to be a proud day for me. Because when I sat down with these gentlemen and these lawyers and listened to the direction they had taken, the plan they had on how we're going to move this case as a collectivity and how we're going to outsmart the opposition of the legal community that will be coming from the government side with all of their money and all of their weapons, that we could become victorious. And the end result is proven to be a very great end result, I'll use that word. Because one of the things, I'll tell you a quick story before I go to my presentation. You know, when I went to Tom and asked Tom to take the case off the shelf and go back to court and let's do it again, he told me to make a promise. He said, I want you to make this promise to me, David. He said, this case cannot stop and go anymore, because if it does, I'm out. He said, you got to promise me that this will never stop now and I will finish it as the job you're giving me to do. And that's a promise I made. We shook hands. It's a promise I made to him. That no matter what no matter what we have to do, I even told him, if I have to sell all the furniture we have, if I have to sell everything we got, we will, to make sure we go to court all the way. But let me tell you that the stress that I faced, in a sense, as your leader, when I come back to tell you our first court took over, 30-something days, and Jim was living and eating donuts and sandwiches in the archives of this country, extracting all the information he could bring. When we lost the first round, you know, it's not a good feeling to lose. But it makes you understand and learn. And then Tom said, well, I think we got him in the right place right now. We just lost. And he's telling us, I think we got him in the right place. We'll move next to the Court of Appeal. We'll file. So we get there again, and we lose again. And he says to me, we got him now. So, oh yeah, okay. That's a good confident feeling to have as a president. Would tell my people, we just lost 2 in a row. But we got him now. And as evidence is there, he was absolutely right. Both Jim and Tom, they did get him now. And so, but the message is this. Again, thank you guys. I flew in Jim, he lives in Europe now, and we flew in Tom, of course, from British Columbia, because we wanted to honor them in front of you, in front of our nation, and all those watching across the homeland. This is live on streaming right now, and people are texting me from Saskatchewan and watching this at home, and very proud of what's happening in our Métis government. But one of the messages I wanted to give yesterday to the young people, and I want to give it today to all of us here, one of the great, I think, attributes of our nation is this: we never give up. And that's the line Obama stole off me this morning at 5 o'clock in the news. I was so upset about it. We never give up, he said, when he was talking about the black people, and the colored people, whatever phrase they use in the United States, but they use black because you're talking about a museum. And he said, we never give up. Well, that's exactly who we are. We have never given up. And so we never will. And if you look at the change of a pathway we have chosen, and I hear it here this morning. I heard from John, who's now left from the museum. Let's understand what we are up against. The word was rebellion against Riel and our people. It was a rebellious group, meaning a bad group of people that had no right to do what they're doing because they're rebellious. And now the word is resistance. It's being accepted because history and the facts are now being told. And that's some of the work that Jim had done, going into the archives and digging out the truth about what had taken place to our great people in Western Canada. So the words are slowly changing from traitor. Riel was a traitor that you were taught in schools today. For our young people here, he's now the founder of Manitoba. One day, he'll be recognized as the founder of Canada, and he'll be entitled to that one day, and I hope that comes. And let's make it very clear, it'll come. Maybe under this Liberal government, we'll see. I've been approached by others to see if I would support an exoneration of Louis Riel. And I said I never will. Never will accept exoneration of Louis Riel, because exoneration then leads to forgiving, and that he was guilty, and we're giving him some piece of relaxation to let it go. He was never guilty. In fact, there is now new messages coming even from the Chief Judge of the Supreme Court of Canada, who I was fortunate to listen to her lecture at the University of Manitoba, who talked about the court case of L'Oreal, that it was truly a travesty in law. They murdered this man to silence the West. And so we will never, ever accept an exoneration to say that you forgive him for what he has done and you'll let him go. Never. That stain will remain forever. If you want to ever do anything right, then do what you should do. That he is the founder of Canada. He's one of the fathers of Confederation. And that you do, and you do not need an exoneration. And I guarantee you, we will applaud you to the last breath we have. We are building a museum, and there's a reason for that. We need to tell our story. We need to tell the story that we're able to extract from the archives and the story we heard from our grandparents. For years we've been told, and for years we've been pushed away and treated as second class. You heard other speakers, as Melanie said, the invisible, the forgotten. And we were once called the forgotten people. And it's true, but it's forgotten. It's not over, my friends. Don't think it's all over because we won these court battles, and I'll get a little bit into that very shortly. But the point at the end of the day, we're going to build a museum to tell the story of who we are as a people. That we are not Indian people, and we are not white people. We are the Metis nation, one nation, a beautiful nation that's very young, 300 years old, but a very proud nation. You heard John from museum speak about Seven Oaks. You heard a national president speak, others speak about the Seven Oaks, the Battle of Seven Oaks. Now, it took us 200 years to correct history. 200 years, because we never give up. We pursued this and pursued it, and now you go down on Main Street on your way home if you want, and read what's there. Before it was the Massacre of Seven Oaks. It is no longer called the Massacre of Seven Oaks, and actually it's proven evidence that the Métis were only defending themselves and their right to free trade, and that they shot first, and all we did is defend ourselves. That's the story that's now being told 200 years later versus the massacre and the killers of the prairies called the Métis. So that tells you never give up. There was some great leaders in Saskatchewan who had a dream, and they had a dream of one day of honoring all of our veterans in Batoche, because Batoche is the last battleground of our Métis people, the last declaration of war against our people from this country. And they sent in troops from Britain all over the place by outnumbering us probably 50 to 1, and maybe even more. But we hung on, and we only had to give up. Eventually we would lose, that we knew. But as Ed, we never give up. Right to the last elder that was sitting, I think he was 80-something years old in his pit, and they said, let's go, because they ran out of bullets, they're losing. And he said, no, I think I could take one more down. And they killed him in his pit, because he never gives up. We never give up as a people, and we never will. And that's a good example of the vigor of who we are as a nation. And if you look at Batoche today, and I encourage you to one day to go visit it, we have now monuments there, and beautiful monuments that have all of the veterans that we know of that went to World War I, II, Korea, and some of the veterans in the Batoche battle. There is 5,400 names of Métis people that went to war to fight for this country, to protect it, and the one that has treated them with such anger and resistance, yet 5,400 people from our nation went to fight for somebody they did not know and to a country that didn't want them. So do tell me if you ever give up. If you look at even now today, we have a change happening in our communities. And I'm really, really so proud of it. In Cabinet, we talk about these things. We see what's happening in our communities. We look in this room today, there is not an assembly big as this. In fact, I was listening to the Conservative Party of Canada just recently, bragging about having the biggest convention ever, 3,000 people. We've had that how many years in a row? Yes, and yet they brag about the biggest they've ever had. We have 3,000 several years in a row now without hesitation. Yet we're never given that same respect and same treatment. The media would jump all over that if you have 3,000 people gathering somewhere, but you don't see the media here today. But it's a Saturday too, you never know. But the point of the message for our young people and for ourselves is this: we can't never give up. We can't rest on the basis that we have won our land claims. We will get a settlement. There's not a question about it. We will build a trust for our people. And there'll be a generation who will get their head start that was promised. We will get some transition of change that will happen in self-government. That's coming. That's just a matter of when. The issue of the Daniels case, the government knows federally they have a problem. They got to deal with it. It's not saying, well, we'll give you a way out, we'll give you time to get it done. It's now. So the government has to come to terms that how are they going to deal with the Métis people? Are they going to treat us secondary again, as they do with First Nation Inuit? Are we going to be told, well, we're not entitled to non-insured health benefits like First Nations are entitled to free prescriptions and dental and optical? Are they going to tell us, no, Métis, you've got to be different, you've got to be treated lesser, and you're not going to be treated equally? That's not what Daniel said. Daniel said, we are not lesser. In fact, we've been denied equality for over 100 years. So it's time that the federal government knows they have to get in tune to changes in the direction of the Supreme Court of Canada. But as a Métis government, we also know we have to work with them and set the parameters of how we'll instill that system into your homes, into your communities, and into your villages. And I tell the government that's sitting here today, never forget this. In this room, you count the amount of people here, and mostly everybody in this room is somewhat employed in some fashion or another, and we pay taxes. We pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of taxes every year, and we never get a dime or anything to show for what we've given our governments to manage our affairs. In Canada, we pay billions of taxes, and I want government to fully know that. And I want Canadians to know that. When government settles one day with a trust, that is going to be our own money they're going to be giving back to us. It's going to be money that we've invested for 100 years here in this country, and we've got nothing in return for it. So the time is going to change, and the reason why, because we never give up, and we never will. And they know we'll never give up. So I think it's going to be imperative, I think, when we go to the future, that, as I said, we cannot rest on just these victories alone. I will not rest on these victories alone. My cabinet will not rest on these victories alone. As we sit here today, Eileen, for example, states, we've met several times, and I've embraced her with openness, and she's embraced me back. But there are still problems in the new government that has to be looked upon, and that she has a challenge. East Side Road, we were left out, completely ignored. Now, I understand the minister says we will consult with the Métis, and I'm very pleased to hear that from Minister Peterson. But we've also been told, and for example, Omnitracks. I went to a meeting, I was invited by the mayor of Churchill, and he said, David, you have to be at this meeting. It's Métis live in need the tracks, and Churchill, Picatinny, and all these small Métis villages that run that line, Ticket Porridge. We need you there. You have to be there. I go to that meeting, not once did they introduce me or invite me to speak. It wasn't for Mr. Carr. He turned to me and said, well, David, what you got to say? So you remember that, Mr. Carr. And I sat there and I just didn't show any disrespect to them. But here I am sitting in a room where I'm asked to come to help and to show my support, and they're not even letting us raise the Métis file or the Métis issues. So it's very clear we have a lot of issues that are falling place. The fisheries, for example. I commend the provincial government of Manitoba that have opened the channel, the opportunity to expand fisheries, to give us a chance to make a living, to give us a chance to put bread on our tables, and to help our families and our children. It's not there yet, but the message was there. So I spoke to Minister Cox about this. She asked me personally to be there to show my support, which I did. When I got there, they wouldn't let me speak. I couldn't believe it. I was in shock, because I told Minister Cox, I got to be in St. Lazare. There's 150 people waiting for me in St. Lazare on land claims. I got to get going. And she said, I want you there. I need your support. And I went. They wouldn't let me speak. They let Chief Evans speak. I'm not dissing the guy. He represents 50 fishermen. I represent over 1,000. And we weren't allowed to speak. And yet my message would have been so proud to say, good job, Conservatives. Good job to opening the opportunity for fisheries. But it just goes to show, again, we still got unfinished business to watch for. Unfinished business to matter. So I'll give Palliser some time yet to change the policies and the framework in government. And I'll take Eileen's comments in great respect, that she was going to open the door for the Métis in her government, and we're going to work together. They're going to embrace the direction we're taking as a people, because I will take that opportunity. But if you look in our communities, and I've been traveling some time now throughout the summer, I go to St. Eustache, and just for Jim and the provincial minister here to hear, and a municipal leader here is here. I go to St. Eustache, small Métis village. You walk in their hall, and I have such a great sense of pride. Down the entire wall is all of the veterans that fought from St. Eustache. I go to Kinasuta, They've been fundraising and bake sales and everything to put up monuments for the 1,100 veterans that have died or have went to war for Canada. So we're putting the rest of the 800 right away to make sure it's done by this fall. I go to Boggy Creek in the 60s and 70s and 80s. That's how old they are. And they're still, they build a building, they build a stage, they build a place for cultural events, and it's packed. You start going around our community, we're still vibrant in Swan River. You go there, you have Bernice at bake sales, anywhere selling something as a local chair to try to make sure the local could have bursaries available for their students when they graduate. It tells you that we are still a people that will not give up. That's the key message I want you to leave this assembly with. We will never give up. I don't care what comes against us, who comes against us, what comes against us, we will never give up. And for the young people, I'll show you an example of the difference you can make. One person can make that difference. Some of you have read in the newspaper, saw on TV, Kayleen McKay. Her cousin drowned in the Red River. And there was this discussion about not a proper investigation or proper attempt to find his body. So what did Kayleen do? She wanted to make a difference because now they have this group in the Red River that are searching for missing and murdered women and men. And they have volunteers manning boats, old boats. Kayleen said, I want to make a difference. What can I do? She talked to her dad, and then she said, okay, you know what I'll do? I'll run. I'll fundraise. I'll buy him a new boat. She didn't know if she'd make $1 or not, but she said, I'm going to make a difference as a young person. She went to Duck Bay and ran from Duck Bay to Winnipeg in 10 days, 300 miles. And now she bought them a brand new boat, brand new motor, and there's now having this looking for bodies of missing and murdered people. So a young person can make that difference. St. Rita, we put up a sign, and we can't say we're embraced in this province, I'll tell you that. In St. Rita, we put up our first sign to say, the Metis welcome you to St. Rita, our historic Metis community. They vandalized it, they tore it down, they burnt it. We put a new one, again they vandalized it, we put another new one. Costs a lot of money, but we keep on doing it. Now we got signs in St. Norbert. Linda St. Cyr, the local chair of St. Norbert, right in Winnipeg. We got a sign, the Metis local of St. Norbert welcomes you to Winnipeg. You know, our message is getting out there. You fly, you drive anywhere in this beautiful province. When I drive down number 6, it's just a great sense of pride that I have when I see flags all the way down in houses when I'm driving. The Métis are becoming the vibrant people we once were. We're not going to be the squalors or the lepers they called us in the rooster town, not a few kilometers away from here. And I showed to the young people and the elders yesterday, and some of you have not seen that. You should see it. And for the politicians that did not see it, you should see it. We were once the proud people, the owners of the most richest and most powerful lands in the West. And we end up being squalors, living in shanties and shacks, and criticized and categorized as lepers, and to get rid of us. And they plowed down all these shanties and shacks to get rid of us so they can build a Grand Park Mall. But we're not finished with that story, because we never give up. The day will come when we put the true story and the respect that the Métis should deserve. Whether we were squalors or not, they put us there because they took away something from us. And that's what we want in the land claims. We're going to get it back, and that head start is coming, my friends. It's coming, and it's going to come very, very soon. So we will never, ever give up. So my friends, again, in closing, we will only prevail if we stand together. The government will try to divide us at times, depending on who's in party. There'll be others who will come to us to try to separate or divide us in some form or fashion. There'll be others who will say, we don't recognize you as a government. Well, we got that in standing already in the Supreme Court of Canada. We will get that no matter what. And what's more important, we don't care what the government wants to call us. What matters to me is what you call us. You call us the Your Métis government because that's exactly what we are. You treat this cabinet as you would treat any minister sitting at these front tables because that's who they are. They work every day and every weekend trying to fight for the difference of your lives. So again, my friends, thank you. Thank you all the dignitaries that have come. We have a great full event taking place. And something they threw at me here quickly. That's what they always do to me. We have a great event. I was trying to get the Prime Minister to send a message in because I will practically say a few words probably on his behalf. At 1 o'clock or 1:30, we're actually initializing a framework agreement which Trudeau had promised to us, and he made it very clear right after his victory that this would be done. And we signed an MOU. We're going to a framework. I don't know if Carr's going to be here, or Danny, or who else is all here? Somebody's going to be here. Anyways, but that is such an important piece of document. That's the one that loosens the doors and says, now we're doing business. Now we're going to sit down and negotiate. That's what's going to be so vital. So that's going to be happening today. But before we get there, we're going to recognize two individuals I want this assembly to show the greatest respect for, that took us to battle, led us all the way to Supreme Court of Canada, and it came back victorious. And we're going to show them our greatest honor, what we do to people that work and believe in our nation and stand with our nation. Let me tell you what I told Justin. We give Justin a gift, my wife to his wife. And there was another gift given to him by the First Nations. And I said to him, you know, Justin, I can't give you a gift because it's got to come from my people, and you got to earn it. You're not going to get a gift because you're Prime Minister. So he smiled, and he knows. That's the way of our nation. We rarely give gifts, do we give to anybody, such as the jackets we give. We give one to Paul Martin, and because he said the Métis Nation is there, and he never let no one stray from that position. He supported Kelowna, and the Métis Nation were very exclusive in Kelowna, and that there was going to be some great opportunity for us there. So we showed him great honor by doing and standing up for our people. So today we're going to be honoring two lawyers very shortly, and I want nobody to leave the room. I want you to be here to see this, because this is you that's honoring them. And this is what you tell your families, and I'll tell you the story of each of the jackets that will be awarded to them. And it's very important you listen to the story and why those jackets are so important. Like I said, we do not give jackets away for nothing. They're very rarely given away, and because they're given with great honor and great respect for what you stood for our nation in some form or fashion. So stay close. This is for something else I guess I got to do. But before I do that, I got to do two little things. Birthday anniversary greetings. This is important for this guy. He's a friend of mine. He wants everybody to know he's still in love. Birthday anniversary greetings going out to my wife Babs and to myself, Crow. He said, and his name is Peter, and I don't even know Babs' real name. I know her as Babs. He has a real name. That's just a nickname. And 56-year-old. They're married for 30 years today. So happy anniversary. I want to take this opportunity to thank my friend who was here, Clifford Waldner. He actually came here for a specific reason, my friends. I know, Elaine, thank you for acknowledging he's from the Boheme colony. He's a very, very good friend of mine. He's been at my place numerous times. I've been at his. And he asked me, is there anything I can give to the elders of the Métis people? And we don't have a lot of money, but we have a lot of gardens. And he said, is it possible, would you people be acceptable if I was to give your people some potatoes? I said, sure, how much? I was thinking a few £100. He said, okay, I'll bring 3,500 pounds of potatoes to give away. Oh, I said, well, you're more than welcome. So I'm going to thank him very much. And again, it just shows, this is the message there for myself and Clifford. It shows partnerships are essential. Creating friends are essential. Creating relationships are essential. And that's something that's very important to me as a leader, and my cabinet knows that. Building relationships is always important. It's always been the Métis way. That's what's kept us who we are. So again, I want to again thank you, Clifford, for your generosity. And there's also a pumpkin and honey. Honey out there in the back. And that's firstly, the honey goes to the elders. Sorry, young people. Elders first. And then, of course, potatoes for families to take home. And we also have potatoes from the family garden in Camperville. Again, thanks to Babs and Crow, they're in the back. That'll be going out to the elders and going home. Now, yesterday you saw an event. I'm going to ask you for something this morning. I'm going to ask you for a moment of silence. Yesterday, some of you saw an event that happened just outside here. And it's a tragic event. One of our staff that was working yesterday got a call, her husband had died. So she fell down to the ground and hysterical in a sense that, and I wanted people to understand what was going on. So if I can ask everybody to give them a moment of silence to their family, and send our cultural ways, send a prayer in your mind to them and help them through their great loss. Thank you very much. So again, let's don't go too far. As I said, I'll turn this over now to the chair and co-chair, and we'll organize. But as I said to the young people and to our nation, what do we never do? We never what? Thank you very much.
Thank you.